Mr. David Bradley Sr.
Here.
Mr. Stephen Holland.
Here.
Mrs. Gail Mahoney. Here. Mr. Wayne Wentz.
Here.
Mr. Andrew Yenser. Mr. Larry Stern.
Here.
8 present.
As of the recess of December 4th, we left the meeting with a motion and a second on the floor for a non-ordinary school board. Discussion by the board. Ms. Wagner, roll call vote.
Wait a second, I have some discussion for you. Copy of the real agenda, sorry. So the motion's on the floor by whom?
Ms. Wagner?
Remember?
Yes, the motion was by Mr. Stern and the second was by Mr. Wentz.
Hang on 1 second, please. You do item, right? Okay, come on.
So it's Mr. Stern and Mr. Wentz, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I think, Larry, as a friend of Dwayne's, you should strongly consider whether or not you want to put Dwayne as an interest to be called. You consider yourself a friend, and therefore, like most friends, they're supposed to act in the best interest of the person you're working with. That is provided, of course, it's not damaging oneself, and I will not, with reasonable foresight, cause harm to any friend either, just as you wouldn't. So before we go on further, I suggest that you, a friend of Mr. Wright, withdraw your nomination. Do you have an interest in doing that at all?
Actually, I can't withdraw my nomination until the second has been withdrawn.
Okay, Wayne, would you like to withdraw that nomination?
No.
Okay. So before we go on further, I suggest we do that, but let's move on. So for Dwayne to advance through the primary election in the season, he garnered more votes than Lori, which was respectful. And I think that's 2 very good points. He made it past the primary, and he got more votes than anyone else on that ballot. We all agree that that's a valuable effort. But to be fair, we should also review his history as a member of this particular board and body. And to ignore that history would be negligent. So let's begin. Dwayne was a member of this board back when an error was made in reference to Frank Tambori's assessment. When Dwayne made a motion, and I quote, "motion in lieu of a total refund of overpaid taxes." So here we had a citizen, not unlike yourselves, right, that had overpaid his taxes. They were levied, and he paid them. When it came to light that he'd overpaid his taxes, Dwayne Item, proudly at the time, with authority, did make a motion to refund the overpayment. He didn't do it. He only made a motion to return some of the money. So, Frank Tambori was responsible to hire a lawyer, fight the district, and have his overpayment refunded. Dwayne sat on this board and let the solicitor run up bills at an hourly rate as they fought this citizen in order to retain some of that overpayment money. The actions of this man show that he actually motioned to return merely a portion of that taxpayer's overpayment. So as a steward of the stakeholders, he would be considered negligent. Lest you think this is an isolated incident, Dwayne also motioned the abolishment of the driver education program and contract with Carbon Lehigh Intermediate Unit number 21, this is a quote from the minutes, for driver education at a cost, keyword there, cost not to exceed $2,500. So you're going to remove an educational program at a cost to the district. Spending money to remove that educational program is not the idea of this new board, if I understand as we were all discussed in the past. For the protection of the citizens and the students of this district, we as a board in good faith, cannot allow such a man to sit on this board. Let's now look at why this town kicked this guy to the curb and actions as a board member. During his tenure, he never motioned to fix the safety items of an existing school, which is a violation of our policy of school code. That policy says we're supposed to maintain our schools. Those maintenance items, as listed in the feasibility study, included safety items. And he never motioned, many on this board never motioned, under the guidelines of our policy, to fix those safety items. He also did not motion for a referendum. Now, whereas one was not legally required, there was definitely a town that asked for it. He also raised taxes when we had a surplus. Dwayne Item didn't motion to pay off the existing high-interest debt with the cash we had bearing little interest. We all just witnessed that there was a box on top of that 4-foot by 4-foot cube representing $100 bills stacked 4 feet high, 4 feet wide, by 4 feet wide. That's how much debt we're in now. And that little box on the top is how much debt we were in prior to the actions of people like Dwayne Item and some of the incoming board. Therefore, this man's action shows lack of the most basic financial management skills to serve on a board. This board voted to renovate, and we had done what the people had wanted. The town voted this man off the board. We need academic excellence and financial savvy members on this board. I think we all agree with that. For a person to motion to not only give back some of the taxpayers' overpayment and to motion to spend money to remove educational programs, it's just too much to ask in this town after you already taxed them to near extinction. I strongly submit my vote of no confidence to Dwayne Item for his demonstrated inability to follow Pennsylvania state law, school code, and our own district policy. I then would like to yield the floor for Pennsylvania Sunshine Act number 710 to the citizens of this town. At your discretion, Mr. Stern.
You had your chance and you stated what your issue was with Mr. Item. There was no point in that we had discussed to include citizens in the voice of representing or unrepresenting an individual. So at this time, I'd like to call for a vote.
Before you do, let me caution you that violating Pennsylvania Sunshine Act 65 PA 67 701 to 716, section 710.1, in reference to public meetings. Are you going to violate that today? Let's start over. I move that we motion to remove Larry Stern from this board for actions in violation of his oath. Can I get a second on that motion?
There's a motion on the floor.
This supersedes that for your violation of not letting people speak.
I'll second that motion.
Would anyone in the public like to have a statement for that motion? Because we have a motion and a second on the floor, and Larry has not obligated his oath of office to allow the public to speak.
Mr. Bradley, Mr. Stern just asked me for an opinion.
Mr. Stern does not have the right to ask you. If he wants his own personal lawyer, he can hire one. You're a lawyer for the district, Mr. Shaw. For the benefit of the district, either go to executive session and give the advice to the entire board, or as a district solicitor, you are hired by the district. If you're going to share your information with the entire board, we can do it here or in executive session.
We can do it right here.
Sounds great. I look forward to it.
Okay, when you're talking about an open meeting under the Sunshine Law, we have to have a time for public participation on the agenda. If this was a new meeting, there would have had to be a time before the meeting to allow the public to speak. We're not in that. This was recessed by the chair. This is the same meeting from December 4th where the public was afforded an opportunity to talk on the reorganization issue. At the end of this meeting, there should be another time for the public to speak. So my position, reading the 65 consolidated statutes, is that this is the same meeting we had December 4th. There was public input at that point. You may disagree with it. You're free to disagree with it.
I concede you're correct.
5 members of the board are free to disregard my advice. 4 members, but you need a majority.
Let's try this on for size. I agree that the words you just said are correct, but they are irrelevant to what I suggested. And let me read to you what the statute says. General Rule, Public Participation, 710.1. I checked with the state, by the way, and they gave me the same reading. But
First of all, that's not the statute. That's a regulation
of this, right, and it says, but you can check the statute, it says that both the taxpayers and the board have to have a right to comment on matters of concern, of official action or deliberation, which are or may be before the board or council prior to taking action. So I can see that at the beginning of the meeting, you had a public comment for things on the agenda. When this motion was not listed on that agenda, it became a new item, and as a new item, prior to its execution of government by this board, those people have a right to speak.
You're right.
Correct. And as such, that man has violated his oath regularly, including last meeting, this meeting, and without any understanding. We have given him warning after warning. We gave him a reprimand more than 10 days ago. And according to, hold on, my motion and a second that's currently on the floor to remove Larry Stern from this board for actions in violation of his oath. The policy states that he may be removed from office with prior notice, which we gave, an affirmation vote of the majority of the remaining board members. Said notice was provided by a letter of reprimand on December 6th, whereas school policy has been treated in the past, as our solicitor so eloquently said, as a guideline. I would submit that an oath of office, not unlike the oath taken by our servicemen and many people in this community, is more than a guideline. The community needs persons of character of this board. His ignorance of the law, like his arrogance with the gavel, is not an excuse to violate the rights of the constituents or violate the oath or violate the law set forth by this Commonwealth. He took an oath, and within an hour of taking an oath, after years of being on this board, this man chose to violate that. And that is a gross misconduct. My motion stands. We have a second. I suggest we take the vote, if we're not going to do executive session, with the remaining school board members and decide whether he gets removed from office. If you'd like to go further, I have a whole list of other violations that this man has done within the district to the people in this community. The community would be best served with the enforcement, by the way, the enforcement of state law. Whereas ignorance of this law is not a legal defense, and this avenue has been exhausted because these board members were informed of the Sunshine Act upon acceptance of office. This action is about restoring the order to the community and moving forward with lawful proceedings. Thank you.
Wayne, you're in charge. If you'd like to take a vote on that motion.
Larry is president.
No, he's been removed.
No, it hasn't. There's not been a vote of 5 people to remove him.
I
You
agree.
can't do anything with just one person saying remove. You need 5 votes for that.
Actually, it's the remaining board. So let's take a vote for the remaining board. They'll look at the code. Keep paging. You'll find it. I'm here to help you.
Well, then what section section of the school code are you referring to? Because
Excellent.
normally we do not, the school district does not have a power to remove a school director.
When they have grossly misused their power, the answer is 100%.
And the courts have said basically that's when they don't show up for meetings. And unfortunately.
But in this case, this man, under your supervision, violated state law, multiple state laws, multiple violations that charge a criminal code for such violations.
And I've asked you before when you made your wild allegations to be specific. You have time, date, and specific instance, and you've refused to on repeated cases.
Actually, Bill, I offered it to you twice, including I offered my consultation services for your benefit.
And practicing law without a license for $2.50 an hour for a minimum 4 hours?
Actually, I'm just a consultant. I'm not practicing law. I'm teaching you to read, sir. I'm teaching you to read.
Well, my
And the responsibility
ruling
to do
is
so.
the school board does not have the power based on the issues you've said to remove any other director. You have the right to remove Mr. Stern by majority vote of 5 as president.
Hold on, here you go. Ready? If in attendance at any meeting neglects or refuses to act in his or her office official capacity as a school director, may be removed from his or her office with prior notice on the affirmative vote of the majority of the remaining members of the board, sir.
And that
If the
law-
person elected or appointed have been notified, they shall refuse to elect to qualify for such the director. So with his violation, he no longer can act as that school board member because this group of 9 people, 8 now, 7 because of his actions.
You have my
Is like-
rule and you don't have the authority. That section of the school code has been interpreted to be missing 2 board meetings.
I'm interpreting it as a neglect of oath of office. And as you have said before, the policy is a function of the people within the meeting and the majority or quorum and such that we have. So we have a quorum of 7 people, and those 7 people can take a vote of whether this man that has violated his oath of office should still have a seat.
You don't have the right to take the right to
I-
Mr. Stern away.
Why?
Why?
He violated his oath. He took it away. I didn't take it away.
He may want to abstain, but
He took it away.
made the decision
He took it away.
unilaterally without the whole entire board. If you have 5 votes and Mr. Stern abstains, no problem. But you can't disenfranchise him on your say-so.
I didn't say no, my say so. I said I make a motion, we have a second, and that according to the school policy and code and Pennsylvania state law, when he violated his oath, he no longer is a school member.
But you're making a conclusion before...
You said he violated the law as well.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You said he has to have this opportunity to
I
speak.
said, yeah, but that's
And on
not
December
what I
4th, hold on December 4th, relax. On December 4th, when we had a motion for Richard Bells, you cannot vote. On December 4th, I'll protest it. On December 4th,
protesting.
That's
my
fine.
opinion.
but it's your right, it's your opinion. But on December 4th, Mr. Stern violated Section 710 of the Sunshine Violation when he refused to let the public speak prior to taking a vote of action for Richard Bells.
If I recall, we let Mr. Belt speak, and we let his representation speak.
I would agree you let 2 people speak, but the law says, Larry, you have the whole...
Can I speak?
You left
Sure.
Mr. Hauser speak too. Mr. Hauser spoke at the time.
So what I don't recall is any other members asking for the permission to speak.
Yet, did you actively...
Ms. Wagner and anyone else requested to speak before recess.
Let's see if we have anyone else here that knows the people that wanted to speak. I wanted to speak. Fran Flickier wanted to speak. That lady wanted to speak, right? This lady wanted to speak and they had their hands raised. You ignored them in violation of Pennsylvania state sunshine law,
I
sir.
would have to disenfranchise you.
Which would you like to go first? The one to remove me or the one for Mr. Item?
You cannot vote, and we will have that one to
I
review.
have that I can vote.
My opinion is until court disenfranchises him, he has a right to vote.
Then we should recess until the court can realize what is important, because your reading of this law and your reading for this board has been slanted, Mr. Swab. We have found it to be an error. And once we get Larry off the board, we have a majority, we can maybe change solicitors that cannot err for years, sir, on this violation.
You're still the chair.
He is not the chair. He is not the chair. It's right here, it's written. In the minutes of any meeting, receive the documents of
Go
official
to
presence.
court and have the court do it. Right now, you have two motions on the floor, Mr. President. You can take either motion as you wish. Or you can recess as requested by Mr. Bradley. You can do either one.
And should we not have a resolution to this particular issue prior to January 3rd?
Well, it's the 4th. Then 10 taxpayers can request to fill the vacancy.
So at this point, Mr. Bradley, you can pursue, and I will call recess. Meeting recessed. Ms. Wagner, will you say the courtesy of the floor till resumption of the meeting?
Have a nice Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. We got your back.